coaches? Welcome to Coach's Mind Podcast. I am Coach Jonathan Lane, the founder, creator, and CEO of Coach's Mind. Now, we are here to connect, serve, and inspire you and make you think. So, today's topic is going to be an interesting one. Might be a little controversial. Some of you guys might agree. Some of you guys might disagree heavily with this. But the old saying of defense wins championships, right? That's what we hear a lot of. That's what's preached, is defense wins championships. So I took that concept and idea and I did a little bit of research. I looked at the last few national champions in the Division 1, Division 2, and in Division 3 rankings, and I looked at their points per possession, offensively and defensively. And it's kind of interesting on some of the things I found with that. So before we dive into this content, I want you to rethink this theory that offense wins championships. Defense gives you a chance to win championships. So sit back, relax, and we're going to dive into that concept a little bit more on Coach's Mind Podcast. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So like we're going to talk about and dive into is that offense wins championships and defense gives you a chance to win championships. Now, the reason why I said that, because I did a little bit of research. I wanted to see if that theory hold true. It would be safe to say that if we looked at points per possession, the team that gave up the least amount of points should basically win the championship, because their defense wins. Because defense wins championship is the concept or theory. So the last time we had a national champion was in 2018, 2019. 2020 didn't happen, as everybody knows, because of COVID. But Virginia, if anybody knows about Virginia, they know that Virginia has a stellar pack line defense. They are able to hold teams like no other, low-scoring games. All of that fun stuff we know about Virginia's pack line defense. And then they played their opponent, Texas Tech, who was a no-middle defense at that point in time. Long, lanky, athletic, stellar defense. So if we look at this theory, and we're going to look at points per possession, Virginia's point per possession on defense was 0.74. 0.74 points per possession they held teams to. And Texas Tech, let me go back there. Texas Tech was 0.74. 0.74. So they held their teams point per possession to the least amount of points. And Virginia was at 0.775 points per possession on defense. So Texas Tech had a better defense than Virginia. So if we're saying that defense wins championships, then it's safe to say that what should have happened is that Texas Tech then should have won that game. So then I looked at it a little deeper, and I wanted to know, is it the defense or is it the offense? So this is probably one of the few times that Virginia had a very stellar offense. They had guys that can shoot the ball, that can make plays on the offensive side, the thing that they've been missing for a long time. So when I looked at that, Virginia was averaging, let me look at that again. They were averaging about 9.5 points per possession, and Texas Tech was at 9.4 points per possession. Sorry, Virginia was at 1 point per possession. So every time they went down, they got 1 point per possession. So Virginia's offense was ranked higher than Texas Tech's offense. So I went through that. I looked at the last 11 years at Division 1. And there was only 4 times out of that 11 years where the team that had less offensive points per possession won the championship. Only 4 times. So that's 36% of the time where a team had less points per possession than another team offensively won the national championship. So out of the other 7 times, the team that scored the most points per possession won the national championship. In Division 2, I looked at the same concept, and only one team in the last 8 years, only one team, again, in the last 8 years, won the national championship where their points per possession offensively was lower than the other team, and they won. At the Division 3 ranks, in the last 7 years, there hasn't been a team that won the national championship where their points per possession offensively was the thing that hurt them. So basically saying that the points per possession offensively played a huge role. So they won due to their offense. Now, their defense gave them that chance. Now, not to say their defense was bad, not to say their defense was shady. We're not saying any of that. What I'm saying is their defense gave them a chance to win. But ultimately, at the end of the day, on the half-court side, your offense wins the game. You have to be able to execute offensively. You can have a great defense. I think you can say defense wins championships if you're trying to create turnovers and create havoc on defense to cause easy shots for your offense. I think that's the only way you can say defense wins championships, because you're trying to generate offense through your defense, right? Because let's think about this defensively. There's only so much you can do. There's man-to-man, zone, and you press. Now, how you do those things, so many different theories, so many different concepts that you can do. But there's basically only 3 things you can do. You can press, play man-to-man, and you can run some type of zone. Those are basically the 3 things you can do. And you mix all that stuff up in between, and you got your concepts and you got your theories. And so then I also wanted to think about, oh man, okay, why? Why do people preach defense so much? And I think, here's a good theory, is iron sharpens iron, right? So if you have a good defense, then you're going to have a great offense, right? So you're playing against both of the top things, so you're only going to get better. Iron sharpens iron. I think a lot of reasons why we say defense too is it helps us establish a mindset, right? Because you can physically see, you can physically feel defense, the energy, the excitement, all of these things that come with it. Coaches do so many drills, stance drills, all of that to bring the energy to practice with defense. I think you're able to dictate the tempo with defense by pressing, ball pressure, denying the wings, all these different things to dictate the kind of tempo you want. I think people say defense because that's the one thing that can be consistent, right? You can have an off shooting day, but defensively you can be in the same effort and the same energy all the time. It's an individual thing. It's a mindset, and it's something that you can control. I think people say defense first because you got to teach rotations. If you're a team that traps, or if you're a team that heavily helps, you got to teach rotations. You got to teach how to scramble out of those rotations. You got to teach closeout. There's so many intricate parts to defense that you have to end up teaching first. And I get all that, and I don't disagree with any of that. What I'm saying is, I want you to think about all of these things, right? If it's safe to say that defense gives you a chance to win, but at the end of the day, offense ultimately will win you that game. Offense will win you those championships. Again, the last 11 years, only 4 teams have won where their offense per possession was less than their opponent. Only 4 teams. Which is safe to say that their defense stopped that team, or that offensive team just had a bad day that time around, right? So who's to say? But it's only 4 times out of the last 11 years in D1 level. It only happened 1 time in the last 8 years in Division 2. And it hasn't happened in the Division 3. So if defense wins championships, why do we not have more champions with stellar defenses? And the reason why I say that is, again, Virginia and Texas Tech. Texas Tech had the better defense. Ultimately, Virginia won that game because offensively they made shots, they made plays. Their defense gave them a chance to win that game,